current drone crowdfund campaign is currently comparing itself to the DJI Spark. Oh dear. Hi, I'm Ash from DroningON. Now, this crowdfund campaign has exceeded $1 million in funding, and as part of its marketing campaign, it's compared itself to the DJI Inspire 2 and also to the trusty little DJI Spark. Now, the Inspire 2 is a $3,000 drone. This crowdfund campaign drone is a $200 drone, and in no way does it compare to the Inspire, but also it struggles to even compare to the DJI Spark. That was a noisy bird, wasn't it? Just a warning to you guys, please think twice before believing everything that you see in these campaigns, because they're not always quite as sincere as you might like to think. But anyway, back onto the DJI Spark. This $200 drone is comparing itself to this one, and on the used market you can now pick up a DJI Spark with loads of accessories for as little as $200 as well. So let's have a look at whether the DJI Spark is still a great little drone and a viable proposition. So one silly claim that this crowdfund campaign makes is that the Spark is complicated to set up. So let's take a look and we'll calibrate it and get it ready for flight. Let's see how complicated it really is. So I've got my transmitter connected, the app installed, my phone installed into the transmitter, the drone is on and everything's connected. The next thing to do is to calibrate the compass. Now you only really need to do this if you've not flown it for a while. So then you just literally pick up the drone and rotate around until the app tells you to rotate it around vertically instead, which is now. Spin around again. Oop. The ground is rather uneven here, unfortunately. That's calibration complete. That was so easy. So this is really what I love about the Spark. It's tiny, pocket-sized. You launch it, put your hands off, and it just keeps flying all by itself. That's because it's got optical flow sensors underneath, but also, more importantly, it's got GPS. And that means that if for any reason you have an issue, it's going to fly back to you. Without GPS, it's relying purely on optical, and that's not always reliable. So first of all, a point I've already touched on is price. Now, lots of these crowdfund drones are coming in at around $200, $300, but actually, if you look at a Spark on the used market, you can find one with all the accessories, spare batteries, and more importantly, a nice compact, decent transmitter for about £200 or $200, so actually less. In fact, I saw one today for £175. So the question to ask yourself is, do you want a new drone that's nowhere near as capable as a used drone, which is far more capable, comes with more accessories, and actually has much better support network as well? The Spark has a 2-axis mechanical gimbal. Now, the difference with this is that it's a brushless mechanical 2-axis gimbal, not brushed. And that means that you're going to get much smoother movement when you pan or tilt up and down. Now, we don't all need this, but the Spark does have obstacle avoidance. And if you're new to drones, it could be invaluable because it will stop you flying the drone into yourself. Now, I'm a pretty seasoned drone flyer, but even I leave obstacle avoidance enabled sometimes because occasionally you just get a little bit carried away. Now, a really important one that I'm always going on about, GPS. DJI Spark has GLONASS and GPS, which means that if you lose connection with your transmitter, it will fly back to you. And there's almost no question about the success or failure. It works pretty much every single time. Cheaper drones that don't have GPS are depending entirely on optical. And the problem there is that if you're flying on a very overcast day, a foggy day, or over ground, which all looks the same, for example, a big green field, then the drone's really not going to know where you are. And if you do lose connection with your transmitter, you're unlikely to get it back. Now, there's no point having kilometers of range if your flight time is only 10 minutes, because by the time you've flown half a kilometer away, it's going to be time to fly back home. My advice for budget drones like the Spark is to really focus on flying them within very, very close line of sight, easily within 500 meters. Any further than that, and realistically, the battery's just going to suffer, and you're going to use all of your battery life flying out, and then use all of it again flying back. And now a big one which most of the crowdfund campaigns simply struggle to compete with, which is support. Now, people have mixed experiences with DJI support. Mine, on the whole, has been really positive. But ultimately, DJI are global. They have retailers and dealers in every single country. And so if you do have a problem with your Spark, whether it's used or brand new, you're going to have somebody to look after you. Most of these crowdfund campaigns promise the world, including support, but the reality is people have been waiting years for some of their products to even arrive, let alone to be replaced. If you're thinking of investing in one of these crowdfund campaigns, my advice is to look at their past products and look at the comments and reviews of those products, because that normally gives you a pretty good baseline as to whether that project will deliver. And if it does deliver, whether it's going to be any good. Another point about flight time and battery is I love about the Spark, you can charge it up using a power bank and the USB port on the rear. That means that you can keep flying even if you're not at home. Many of these crowdfunded drone campaigns boast 1080p for their camera capabilities, but there are very different grades of 1080p. Just compare the quality of the camera footage from a DJI Spark to the camera examples from a 1080p crowdfunded drone campaign, and the difference is night and day. Just because the specification of a crowdfunded drone boasts 1080p, don't let that lead you into thinking that the camera quality will be anything close to that of the DJI Spark. The other consideration, of course, is size. Now, the DJI Spark is tiny and it doesn't weigh a lot either. Now, I'd rather have something that small and no smaller, which has lots of functionality, than something even more compact that has barely any functionality. And let's face it, if you're traveling and taking a drone on holiday with you, you want to come back with good video results and good photos, not with subpar video and photos. So just to wrap up here really, the DJI Spark is a brilliant little budget drone that you can pick up now with accessories and transmitter for less than $200. Personally, I'd rather have that every time than a new crowdfund drone, which might take a year or 2 years to arrive, and when it does arrive it's out of date, with limited support network, limited accessories and no global support. The decision, of course, is yours, and some of you like to take a punt on these crowdfund campaigns. Very few of them, however, have ever led to a successful product. Keep that in mind. Comment below with your thoughts, give this video a thumbs up, and of course click subscribe.